have basically two parts to today. I have, in the morning, we're going to talk about a research project and network that has been funded through the AHRC, through their Global Challenges Research Fund program, which is about our work that's going on in India, looking at issues of water scarcity. And a big element of this research was crossing disciplines and bringing together arts and science and community-oriented thinking. So we will talk about that. You'll get loads of information about what that is from the people who are actually doing the work. And so I'll introduce all those folks as they come up. And at the end of that session, we'll have ask our speakers to sit at the front, and so you can ask a few more questions about the detail of what they've done, but also we have a couple of themes for discussion going through the day. So the first theme for that panel, which we'll sort of start them off with, is about this issue of the role of the arts in addressing critical global challenges and things like water scarcity or climate change or flooding. And so what do we expect? What are the possibilities of these approaches? And so we'll think about that in particular in the morning. In the afternoon, we've invited a few other speakers to help present some different perspectives and talks from other projects. And that can give us some different insights. And we will talk a bit about the role of the arts in different settings, other than Rajasthan. So the Rajasthan work and India work, our project is in the morning. In the afternoon, there's some other work that people, colleagues can talk about. And at the end of that session, well, again, we'll ask the speakers to come up and talk about, obviously, their work. We can ask them questions and challenge them or think through the ideas. But also, I want to think particularly in the afternoon on interdisciplinarity. This is something in my work. Every single project I do involves working with people who are very different from me in their perspectives and the ways they work and their backgrounds and their cultures and so on. So I think that's a really critically important question about the relationship between the arts and science or social sciences or communities and so on. So we'll hopefully think through those questions as well in the afternoon. So, so we've got really essentially those 2 hours for detailed discussion, and so you can chat as much as you want, and then we have breaks for lunch and coffees and so on. At the end of the day, so we hope we'll end by 4, but then at the end of the day, if people want to hang around or their trains aren't until later, we'll be going out for a drink or two, probably just because it's closest. There's a place called Wild Beer, which is just over just behind the building here. So that would be fantastic if you want to hang around a bit longer. I know a couple of other people are still arriving, so we'll be a nice little group. Let me see if there's something else I want to say before I go on. Okay, so with this week, we've brought our guests from India to Bristol, and actually, I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of Bristol. I kind of think I've kind of taken it for granted, actually. I think it's a great city, it's a great place to be in, but I haven't looked at it through others' eyes in a long time. And actually, I thought it did really well while we've been here. First of all, the weather's been fantastic. It hasn't been raining. We've had great weather. But we've visited the PM studio at the Watershed. We visited the Watershed, Puppet Place, Noah West Media Center, the university resources. So we've really gotten out and seen a lot of what's happening. So I think there's a lot of amazing activity that's happening in Bristol. It's a real fantastic place to be doing this kind of socially engaged arts practice and community-oriented work. And I think, in addition, the city actually looks quite beautiful. It's actually, I have very mixed emotions about waterfront development and what they've done here. But it does show off quite well, actually, to seeing it through new eyes in a way. It's kind of actually it is pleasant. I mean, you can walk along the river. You can really experience life here in a different way. And I'm not sure how the party, they're staying at the Hotel Ibis in the center, and the party noises have been, I'm not sure how they were last night. A couple nights ago, there was lots of heartbreak out the windows and glasses being broken and stuff. So we'll see. If tonight could be even more interesting, I think. So, so we have an exciting time, I think, with this in Bristol. And so our effort is really about taking some of the experiences that I've had here in the UK and bringing that to international settings and exploring, testing ideas, challenging ourselves to work in different places and to work in different settings. So this has been part of, for me, that learning process about taking some of what I have done and applied here in the UK to international settings. And in this case, it's worked absolutely beautifully. And a lot of it, what you've seen, is a result of relations, people's personalities and their relations, their willingness to accept someone with a different point of view as an equal, and to to be able to kind of take a step back and think for a minute and say, let's see what this other person who's very different from me has to offer. So in our project, I guess I'll say that all of the partners that are involved, except for Lorraine and myself, did not know each other before it started. So the network has brought together people that have very different backgrounds from very different places together to address some of these critical points. Yes, so I guess the other thing I want to mention is I think that there's quite a bit of interest in these questions that we're asking today. I got loads of emails when I sent out the information from people who wanted to come. Obviously, you're all here, and other people couldn't make it. You know, it's twice this many who said, "I just can't make it. Keep me involved." And I think that it's really relevant to how important that kind of question is that we're asking. You know, about how do we make this work valuable in new ways, or how do we fit it in while keeping the credibility and the beauty of the arts practice. I think it's something that we have been working with quite important is how do we build a big community of people who are interested in this kind of work and taking it forward. So hopefully this is the start of that. So I've got I think I've got everyone's emails, so we'll keep you involved. You know, we'd love to find ways to keep working together to make this more than just a seminar. If there's ways to build this into future relationships or collaborations, or just keep the network going. It'd be great to hear suggestions during the day about how we might actually do that, because practicalities is often project related. But so what would be a useful resource that we could provide, or that universities and community and arts collaborations could put together to keep us in contact, you know, to take advantage of this momentum. I guess the final couple of things I'll say is, so with this project that you're hearing about in the morning is coming to a close, essentially, with this effort in the next month of sort of some dissemination activities. We'll be putting together sort of a summary of the work and trying to take it out into the world a bit wider. And you'll hear about some of those efforts, I think, hopefully later, about the kind of resources that we've created and how they might be mobile in different ways, reaching, in our case in particular, audiences in rural settings. So getting this information out to different places. I guess the other thing I want to say is I have tentatively agreed with a publisher to bring an edited collection of internationally based community arts, socially engaged arts research together in some sort of quasi-book form. So if you think that that's something of interest to you, something you might want to engage with, obviously some of our project work would wind up in there, but we want to make it as international in flavor and cross-cutting, so in terms of the issues. So in terms of today, in the morning, you hear about water scarcity, but the objective really is about what role can we play in addressing communities' key global challenges, be they floods, water scarcity, drought, natural disaster, climate change, and so on. So we'll be looking to kind of build that, and maybe the book forum might be one way in which many of us could stay in touch as a way of doing something like that. So if you know colleagues who are doing this kind of work and they might want to be involved, it'd be great to have some more discussions. And I think in terms of the book isn't really the greatest format, but publishers suggesting that we could do some really interesting interactive sort of web-based stuff and things like that. So we can have different forms of media coming out there. Let's see if there's anything else. My notes are complete. My time is running short. I guess I want to thank, before I leave, so you won't hear me talk much the rest of the day, hopefully, but thank all of you for being here. It's really fantastic. This is very impressive to see people come out for something like this on a Friday. And I'd like, obviously, to thank the HRC for funding this, but also Emma, who you'll hopefully meet later on during the questions and answers, who's the researcher on the project. Well, actually, she's not actually the researcher on this project, she's on another one. We've sort of co-opted her onto this one, who's been an amazing help, who's been to India with me and helped facilitate that, so thank you very much for that. And obviously all of our partners that are here. So if you have any questions, please feel free to just shout it out or speak up. So hopefully be as informal as possible, but I guess we want to give you a background of what we're doing. So in the morning, as you see on the agenda, Lorraine is going to introduce the intent of the project a bit more and get into the background about how we came into being. And then we're going to talk specifically about the project. So you'll hear from our guests as well about the conditions of water scarcity. So in terms of what's the state of the environment in this place. So there'll be an environmental sort of presentation discussion, and then two discussions on the role of the arts that have played in there. So I'll let Lorraine maybe give some more insights into some of that. So with that, I guess I'll say thank you again and welcome, and hopefully have a nice day.